Judge, my question here is like, look, if Hunter Biden is obviously trying to create privacy, why would he file a lawsuit that is then FOIA-able in many cases, which then discovery could be leaked out onto the internet?
You know, your monologue in the past few minutes just asked so many questions. We could talk about this for the rest of the show. I know we have a limited amount of time. It's the problem with a lawsuit like this. Just like when you accuse someone of defamation, right, you are regenerating again for the public the alleged defamatory statement. When you accuse the IRS of violating your privacy, you will have to expose far more of your privacy to the IRS, to their lawyers, and to the public than the IRS did to you. So there's obviously more here than meets the eye. And I think you have your fingers on it very nicely, Carl. This is obviously part of some grand effort to take the public's eye off of what's going on in terms of what the Republicans are finding out about the father and what the Republicans are finding out about the son. Did the IRS actually violate its own regulations by revealing this information about him? I think it did. But do they have a defense to it? Was there a greater good that came out as a result of it? Did the Congress have the right to know this? Does the Congress have the right to know Joe's involvement in this? These are questions that Hunter may now have to answer under oath rather than in a political environment as a result of filing this lawsuit. Yeah, actually, where it goes, I don't know. I've never seen a lawsuit like this. A lot of people don't like the IRS. They have their regulations. Believe me,
a lot of people. Everybody hates the IRS.
Well, they take money from us. Yeah, it's exactly their job. It's what Congress has authorized them to do.
Yeah. Well,
but
Judge,
you can't stop wondering about how odd this Hunter Biden thing is. Here he becomes the poster boy against the IRS. He's already the poster boy for the Second Amendment, because the indictment of him on the gun charges, those charges are probably unconstitutional. And here he is, his father is the worst offender of the Second Amendment of the modern era, and the son is going to defend it in court. God, did you have to put that picture up there?
No, sorry about that. My production staff will apologize later. But here's the deal, Judge. What happens when this gets to an impeachment inquiry? Because obviously Hunter's going to be roped into all this stuff, and more stuff is disclosed. I don't know the legality, maybe you do, about whether or not whatever's talked about under oath in that impeachment inquiry can be leaked out to the public, and if so, what are the crimes if they aren't supposed to?
Well, whatever the Congress comes up with in the impeachment inquiry, just like whatever the House Special Committee on January 6th came up with in their inquiry, they know how to make available to the public. And if some of that hurts Hunter Biden or some of it helps Hunter Biden, his lawyers will just have to resist it or make the most of it, depending upon what it is. But what Congress does, the lawsuit Hunter Biden just filed that we're talking about is against the IRS. If Congress had subpoenaed those documents from the IRS, if Congress discusses those documents, Congress is immune. Congress cannot be sued for what it addresses and what it discusses and what it reveals. The speech and debate clause in the Constitution expressly protects Congress from that.
And of course,
you can sue the IRS. Good luck trying to sue Congress.
Right. And the other thing is, too, is why would people who write the laws ever expose themselves to any liability? But, Judge, Kevin McCarthy claiming that the White House is already engaging in this impeachment inquiry obstruction with fake or no evidence, disinformation talking. I mean, look, at the end of the day is how much can the Biden administration refuse to turn over and refuse to cooperate before bigger things happen? And what happens if they don't give them this stuff they asked for?
Well, once Speaker McCarthy formalizes the committee, whether it's the House Judiciary Committee or whether it's a select committee, meaning appointed directly by him, and the House gives that committee subpoena power, this is U.S. v. Nixon all over again. When the Watergate Committee wanted the tapes, Joe Biden will have no choice but to surrender them. He may delay. He may challenge, but he's going to lose those challenges, and eventually we'll have to cough up whatever the House is looking for.
Yeah, and just what happens about destruction of evidence? Because, I mean, like, look, Hillary smashed Blackberries with hammers and nothing happened. So is that a risk?
She's the only one that can get away with that. No, I don't want to make light of this. It's very serious. If the president, when he was vice president, destroyed evidence, he's probably clear. If he destroys evidence now, knowing it's about to be subpoenaed, he has a very, very serious legal issue confronting him to be prosecuted after he leaves office.
Yeah. We got under a minute left, but it goes to the Senate for the actual trial part post-impeachment. Do you think that if it's bad enough, do you think that there's Democrats that would cross over, enough of them, to actually remove him from office, or do you think he would pull Nixon and resign?
Well, remember, he can't be removed from office as president for acts for which he's been impeached as vice president. He can be barred from seeking re-election. What do I think will happen? I think you're going to see a Richard Nixon moment, like when Barry Goldwater and Howard Baker went to Richard Nixon in August of '74 and said, you have to go, you have to resign, because the Senate is going to impeach you. He did the honorable thing. He didn't want to leave, but did the honorable thing. He avoided a constitutional crisis. I think leading Democrats are going to go to Joe and say, you can't run for re-election because we can't defend you. And I think he'll do the right thing.
Which I happen to think the Democratic Party is concocting behind the scenes right now. Judge Andrew Napolitano.
You said that earlier, and I think you're right on the mark.